Episode 7 of Winning Time, Invisible Man, is over, and we're here to talk about it. I'm Jose Salviati, editor at thepeachbasket.net, and I lived through the 80s Showtime era.
And I'm Evan Moore. I also lived through the Showtime era, and you can follow me on Twitter at MoreHoops727.
A great follow. If you don't already have that in your Twitter feed, you want to make sure to add it. Before we get into our show, I want to welcome a sponsor and say a big thank you to our sponsor, Dimers.com. Let me go ahead and do this while I read this. And no more watching from the sidelines. Dimers.com gives sports fans the tools, analysis, and information they need to excel at sports betting. Dimers' mission is to bring sports fans like you together and to be a key part of your online sports betting experience. We are excited to have Dimers.com as a partner of the peachbasket.net and sponsor of our Winning Time, the Rise of the Lakers Dynasty reviews. Welcome again to Dimers. Great to have you with us. Now, if you're watching this right now, this is kind of our live show. We do edit and post after the fact, but we do this live because we really want to hear from you. We have seen quite a few comments on our edited shows after they're posted on YouTube, and we're grateful for each one. We really want this to be as interactive as possible. So if you're watching now, take a chance, take the opportunity, join us on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. You can just search for the Peach Basket. You'll find us. You'll be able to leave comments there that we'll incorporate into the show. Unfortunately, we can't take comments on Twitter. So join us at Facebook, on Facebook specifically, the Peach Basket 2021. On YouTube, just do a search for the Peach Basket. You'll find us, and leave your comments there. We would love to interact with you as we do the show over the next 20 minutes. If you saw Winning Time, Invisible Man, Episode 7, or if you didn't, and you just, have a thought about, Evan's hat or my decor, let us know. We want to hear from you. All right. With that being said, let me give you a recap of what we saw in Episode 7. In Episode 7, Coach McKinney begins to make progress in his recovery as Coach Westhead struggles to control the team. Pat Riley moves from behind the mic to holding the clipboard as assistant coach. With the team losing, Lakers executives have a replacement coach ready if the team loses to Larry Bird and the Boston Celtics in the Boston Garden. In addition to Larry Bird, we caught glimpses of NBA greats Rick Barry and Bill Russell. That is a general overview of the show. Let's dive into it. Evan, we'll start with you because it's just you and me today. What was your thought when you watched this show, just generally?
Yeah, well, first of all, this episode was my favorite episode by far. I've watched this episode twice already.
Wow.
I love this episode so much, and for two simple words, fuck Boston.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there were so many great things in this. Starting with seeing Rick Barry, and not only seeing Rick Barry, but seeing him shoot the granny shot.
It's perfect.
That was great.
And it went.
Yeah. Oh, he was so accurate with that thing. Yeah. I remember people trying to convince Shaq, to try and do that. And he's like, no. And and they're even showing him Rick Barry used to do it. And
yeah.
But yeah, it's like,
and I think he shot 85%. I mean, he was a very good free throw shooter shooting it that way.
Very good. And and in fact, before people started shooting at overhand, when the games first started, that's how everybody was shooting free throws, actually, because it was easier to be accurate like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun just seeing him. And then, Elgin Baylor getting mentioned, and then Orlando Jones playing Elgin Baylor was great too. It was just a small little snippet, but that was great. Right. And then, I mean, the Lakers Celtics game was just so perfect. I really enjoyed every second of that. Well, with the exception of, I have to say that I thought it was funny that if you took a look at the actor that they got to play Larry, a lot of his shots they were doing above the waist. There's one kind of shot where they trap him, and he does not look like a very good basketball player. So that was kind of funny to me. But other than that, this was a real fun episode. So many great quotes, like Jerry West saying, Paul Revere should have slept in,
Right.
And then, Kareem, the silence is not invisibility, it's power. Oh, that's
powerful.
A great quote.
Yeah.
And then, Pat Riley, who watches basketball on Christmas? It's like, back then, nobody. Now, everybody.
It's true. Yeah. No, it's true.
So, yeah, just so many great moments. Oh, and then one of my favorite moments also during the game was the back and forth of Johnny Most and Chick Hearn, because that juxtaposition it's so right on and exactly of how it was. Like if you could turn on those games at the same time and listen to at the same time, it was like they were calling a different game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like just, and the way they did that, going back and forth, and this episode was so good.
Chick would say, "What are the refs thinking?" Johnny Most would say, "This is the best officiated game I've ever seen." It was really, really good. Yeah. No, I'd actually forgotten about that. So here are my thoughts, right? Because I agree with you. It was such a fun episode to watch. But I thought that this was one of the most overly dramatized episodes, right? Let me tell you what I mean by that.
Definitely.
Everything was riding on one game in Boston. I mean, there's no way. There's just no way that happened. I get why they did it, and I understand the Hollywood behind it, and they want to give you a certain feel. There was certainly a lot riding on the season, so they just encapsulated into that game. But there's no way everything was riding on one game, and Elgin Baylor was going to be the coach if they lost to Boston. Magic cheating on Cookie with her best friend. Now, listen, Magic was a dog. I think we know that. I think he's admitted that. I don't know if that happened, but a lot of what they're showing just seems over dramatized. Jerry West paranoia, I thought, was over dramatized in this particular episode.
Oh yeah,
you're right. Yeah. And Westhead's weakness, I thought, was over dramatized. All of that stuff was likely true. There was a little paranoia in Jerry. There was a little weakness in Westhead, but it seemed to be over the top. And again, Magic was, had his issues, but all of that just seemed to be so much over the top. You're a great follow, Lakers follow on Twitter. There's another person. Her name is Dana. And I wanted to have her tweet up and ready. I don't, unfortunately, but I'll make sure to add it when we edit this. But she said basically, that obviously this is over dramatized, but it's such a good show, and there are hints of truth to all of it. Was basically her tweet, and I thought that was kind of the mantra, if you will, for this episode. Everything they showed was true, just over dramatized.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So that being said, let me rattle off a couple of things that I liked. You mentioned Rick Barry's free throw. That's number one on my list. That was just cool. I never got to see Rick Barry live, but I heard about it, him shooting free throws like that, and seeing it, and the way they shot it from his back, and so you only got a glimpse of it. Was really good. One issue I had, there was a point where Magic and Norm were talking during their losing streak. I think it was against Indiana or Detroit or something. And Magic said, all right, let's take advantage of the 2-for-1. They were not taking advantage of 2-for-1s in the 80s. They just weren't. That's a relatively new thing. And so that kind of irked me a little bit. No big deal, but whatever. There was a point when Coach McKinney has got a little bit of jello, right? As Bus comes in to play Monopoly with him. And they showed the Jello jiggling, which I thought was kind of cool, because that was Chick Hearn's, right? Famous, refrigerators closed, Jello's jiggling. I was getting, I can't even think of it now.
Getting hard. Yep.
I know. I can guarantee you, I could rattle it off to you in 10 minutes, but I can't do it now. But I also thought the Jello close-up, if you remember the movie Airplane, there
Yeah.
was a scene where
Yes.
the Jello was jiggling, and then they cut to a young woman, and she was
Yep.
jiggling, and that was an image when I saw Airplane as a young man that stuck with me. So I thought of Jello jiggling for Chick, and I thought maybe that's a call out to Airplane too. Jerry West and Chick being the bad guys really bugged me, and we've talked about this before because these are guys that kind of heroes to me growing up. And Chick was a bad guy because of the way he treated Pat, Riley, and Jerry West is just so paranoid. It's just weird watching them be kind of bad guys here. We called out Elgin Baylor. We got a glimpse of Bill Russell and the horrors he went through despite winning 11. And that stuff's true. Despite winning 11 championships for the city. There was a scene, right, when Pat Riley, and again, over dramatized, but Westhead doesn't think he can do it. Riley pushes him into the shower, turns on the water. In that scene was but there was, when he gets done, his hair is wet and he slicks back his hair. Classic Pat Riley look. And I thought, oh, that's a foreteller. That's a foreteller. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yep, and he sees the image of his dad in the mirror and everything.
Right. And that's they cut right to his dad. But my thought was, that was the Pat Riley most people know with the slick back
exactly.
Hair. Yep. So you mentioned the Larry Bird guy. Again, over dramatization. Larry Bird was certainly a country guy, French Lick. He was that person. But them playing a song "Satan Is Real" as they introduced Larry. Oh man, I thought that was really powerful because to Laker fans, that's who he was. But he's coming up, spitting into an aluminum can. It was an over dramatization of who he was. But again, a lot of truth to it. He did tell people what he was going to do and then do it like he did to Jamal and I think Coop in that one scene, which was amazing. Johnny Most saying, "Welcome to the garden" was epic. All right. And then the last thing I'll share, and these are just little snippets because, again, just a really enjoyable episode. But there was that, during the one of the highlights during the games, Magic throws a lob pass to Coop for the dunk. And Chick Hearn calls it, there's a lob to Coop for the dunk. And Chick would have always said, what would you call that? Right? That was a Koopa loop.
Oh, yes. Koopa loop.
That was a Koopa loop, man. That was a Koopa loop. So I was a little disappointed. And for the first time, they had Jamal shooting from the corner. And the actor tried to do, Jamal's kind of signature. It was really short, but I thought he tried to do it, which I thought was kind of cool. So again, I was just, I'm being very nitpicky, but I missed out on Koopa Loop. I would have liked to have heard, the Chick Hearn say that. But overall, listen, super enjoyable, very nostalgic, watching all of this play out, seeing, Pat Riley starting to come into his own. It was a really, really, really good episode. All right. Episode 8 is going to be called "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough." It's not going to be called. That's what it's called. Episode 8, "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough." What do you see coming in episode 8?
Gotcha. Well, I think, I kept thinking we were going to see something about Haywood and his drug issue.
Right.
But, they've kind of kept that like a little low key. They haven't even mentioned it yet. And I do know from the book that the whole benching issue, with him and, him and the coach, that was because of the drug problem. Haywood had been out partying a lot and he had been messing up on the court. So he was getting benched. And, so that hasn't been talked about yet. So I'm wondering if that has maybe been glossed over or if it's going to come out here in the next, episode or so. But I have a feeling we're going to start getting ramped up for the playoffs at this point, because that's, they were teasing, towards that about, you need to make a playoff run to make money kind of thing. So I think that's where we're headed now. And, with the possibility of maybe talking about Haywood, but I wonder if they've maybe just kind of brushed past that as, seemingly not a big, a big deal or a big factor in what they're, looking for. So, but that's kind of what I think maybe.
Yeah, thinking back, I know in the last episode they kind of hinted at it, right? Because they had that one guy who invited him to a party, and initially Haywood and all the Lakers said no, but then after he met him again and invited him again, so I think they hinted at it. So we might go down that rabbit hole, but yeah, I can see where they might want to skip it. I was curious about the benching because, again, this is not something I remember. I remember seeing Spencer Haywood play. I remember him playing as a Laker, but I don't
Mhm.
remember long stretches where he didn't. So I went back to Basketball Reference and checked it out, and sure enough, man, he was playing really well. And then all of a sudden, he had a bunch of DMPs, back to back to back to back to back, for a solid month, which is kind of wild. And then all of a sudden, he's back and he's playing pretty good, putting up good numbers. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I always, now that we know what it was about, Invisible Man was about Larry Bird, the introduction of Larry Bird, it makes sense. So I'm trying to figure out, don't stop till you get enough. It's got to be about somebody. So I wonder if, and now I'm just kind of, this isn't anything I thought of before. I'm just thinking about this now, but I wonder if now we're going to really start to see Magic's um, addiction issues. Really, we're hinting at, we're seeing a little bit of it. Pat Riley, told him to wrap it up right when he got on the airplane. Maybe we're going to start to see him, don't stop till you get enough. Maybe he's starting to realize he can't get enough, and he's going to start to go a little out of control. Be interesting if that's what this title means, if they do the same with Spencer Haywood and he starts to get a little bit, going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That would be kind of interesting. At the same time, the team is winning. Just kind of a weird yin yang kind of thing. Bunch of good happening along with a bunch of bad.
Exactly. And I wonder if it maybe applies to, multiple characters, not just players too,
Right.
because it could potentially even apply to Bus a little bit too, So yeah, it's an interesting title for sure.
Yeah. It's a fun game to play to figure out, what are they thinking? What's coming?
Yeah. And I love these titles that they're using. There's a lot of great literary references and just cool stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely been fun to watch, and I'm excited every week to watch them and to talk to you all about them. I should mention now, generally there's four of us. There've only been the four of us one time. Life gets in the way. But a shout out to Akeem and Derek. We miss you both. Hope to certainly see you next week.
Yeah.
All right, we do this every week. We're going to continue because it's fun and we're competitive people. Evan, who was your winner and your favorite scene in episode 7?
Yeah, my winner was Pat Riley because, I've always been a big fan of Pat's, and it was really fun to kind of just see him really take the reins, and the scene where he gets ejected was so great, and the scene where he throws Westhead in the shower and douses him, even though it's over dramatic, I loved that scene because it's about Pat's motivation, this kind of thing of damn it, you can do it. I know you can do it. And I loved that. So he was the big winner for me. Cause you can really see how he's kind of the changing factor in getting Westhead on the right track. And, because he'll eventually replace him,
Yeah.
And then I had a tie for my favorite scene, actually, because it was between that one with Pat Riley and Westhead in the shower, because I really liked that one. But I also really liked Kareem and Magic's dad sitting down and breaking bread and talking with each other. That was a great scene, too.
Yeah.
It was really, just that, they both had a similar sensibility, and then also talking about, Magic and, how he wasn't affected by it, and, how, his dad almost kind of looked at it with a little bit of jealousy, and I mean, that was a really cool scene, really kind of gives you, a look into, who Kareem was, who Magic was, and even a little bit who Magic's dad was. I really liked that scene.
Yeah. Great pick. One of the reasons we did this show like this with us who lived through it, and Akeem and Derek who didn't, was because we want to be, Evan and I, want to be the kind of the fact checkers, right? And let people know, because I think there's a concern, and I'll put it in quotes, right? It's not a big concern, but a minor concern. You're looking at this and thinking that you're watching a documentary. You're not, right?
Yeah.
This stuff didn't happen, but it tells a really good story. Again, hint of truth to all of this. And I call that out only because, to me, and it was really wild as I was watching the show, watching the actor who plays Magic, I get lost in it, and I feel like I'm watching Magic Johnson. I mean, I think the guy, he looks so much like him. His mannerisms are the same. I believe that. Hasn't been true with the others. Norm Nixon's son obviously looks a lot like Norm Nixon, but there was that episode or that scene, and you alluded to it, with Kareem and Magic when they had that talk, and I thought that was so powerful. And the actor who plays Kareem, the way he lowers his voice and he talks, very eloquently. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm watching Kareem right now. It's just, for the first time, I really felt like he captured Kareem in that one scene. So that right there makes him my winner, because Kareem is such an elusive person, such an elusive character, and to do such a good job with that, he's my winner. And you stole my scene. I mean, I thought it was so neat, to see Irvin Johnson Sr. and Kareem sit down. You've got, a factory worker and a multimillionaire breaking bread and finding common ground. I just thought that was so cool. So many levels, at the end of the day, we're all people. We can just sit down and chit chat. And if you don't see him as Kareem, you just see him as, somebody, who have something in common with, and you can connect that way. I just thought that was super cool. Really, really, really cool scene. I love to think that something like that happened. Don't know if it did, but
Exactly.
I really, really enjoyed that scene. I just thought it, kind of broke down a lot of barriers. It showed us that Kareem in the show, certainly is starting to take Magic under his wing. And he says, I got him. I'll protect him. I'll teach him. I'll nudge him in the right direction. I just thought that was really cool. That Kareem, for the episode, is going to start taking on a fatherly kind of big brother, maybe, position. But more so just that human connection between Magic's dad and Kareem, I thought was really, really cool. So that's my winner. That's my scene. All right, man, that went fast. That's it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
That's it.
Just the two of us talking. Not bad.
That's why I think. Yeah, I think that's why it goes a lot quicker. Listen, I see someone's on. I see someone watching. We're grateful. Thank you so much. We really have a good time doing this. I want to, and let me go ahead and put this down here once again. Thank our sponsor, dimers.com. If you get a chance, please check out their site. We appreciate their sponsorship and their partnership with thepeachbasket.net. That'll do it. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week to recap episode 8. Don't stop till you get enough. We'll talk then. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Bye.
All right, man. No, we're still, I can never tell when this ends.